G4TV is finally meeting its end. While the tragedy of network rebranding has essentially had G4 in a vegetative state for 2 years now, it's still a little bit sad to hear the news that the plug is finally officially being pulled on November 30th. So with the official end finally upon us, I just wanted to give a few quick thoughts about G4, what it meant to me, and I guess hopefully create some nostalgia for other people too. The biggest thing about G4 really is that it just felt geared towards people with sort of alternative and tech-based interests. It's the kind of thing that you don't really see on TV because it's all reality TV shows now. But it was a place to go to watch shows about things I liked that I couldn't get anywhere else. And I think that's the biggest thing that grabbed so many people about G4, and the biggest thing that people have missed for the last few years. For me, there were 3 shows that were the pillars of everything G4. Not including Cops reruns, obviously. Those 3 shows, though, would be X-Play, Attack of the Show, and Ninja Warrior. There were other things that I really liked, like Unbeatable Banzuke, and the amazing live coverage that they did of E3 and Comic-Con, but the 3 shows that I mentioned were the big 3 for me. X-Play was great because it had news and info on gaming from people that really knew what they were talking about, who didn't sugarcoat it too much to dumb it down for the audience. And while YouTube was certainly prominent throughout pretty much the entire run of X-Play, video game news and info was rarely, if ever, presented as well as it was on X-Play. Was it ever overly enthralling? Maybe not. But it was always enjoyable and it was always informative, and that really was good enough for me. When it comes to Ninja Warrior, I still vividly remember the first time that I ever saw it. I checked it out just out of curiosity of seeing a show called Ninja Warrior on the channel guide, and I was immediately hooked. Over the next couple years, I watched an absurd amount of Ninja Warrior reruns on G4, at the time having no idea how important it would end up becoming in my life a few years down the road. To have gone from a huge fan of something to an actual participant like I got to be this last season is still one of the most mind-blowing things that's ever happened in my entire life. But even above that, most notably, my favorite hour of television every day, Attack of the Show. It had everything a nerdy kid could want. Funny videos, great interviews, news, comedic sketches, product reviews, everything a nerdy kid could want. Above all else though, it just kind of felt like hanging out for an hour of TV every day. There are few shows ever that I have enjoyed as much as Attack of the Show. And up until Kevin Pereira left in the spring of 2012, it never felt dull or repetitive to me. But even during those final 6 months when the show's death sentence had pretty much been ordered, I still watched. And I still enjoyed it. It almost felt like I kind of had to see things through to the end. And I think that even with how much the network tried to restrict them and not let them do anything edgy, I think Candace Bailey and Sarah Underwood did a very admirable job of keeping the show still entertaining. On the bright side of that whole downfall though, I actually got to meet Candace Bailey once because Attack of the Show shot a segment at my university during that summer of 2012. I definitely had to try and keep my whole fanboy status in check, but she was incredibly nice throughout the whole thing. But it was also somewhat sad because even though the official announcement of the show being canceled was still months away, it kind of seemed like she already knew that the ride was coming to an end. And now, the entire G4TV ride is officially ending. Between the TV shows I loved and the people on those shows that may or may not have had a hand in inspiring me to take a crazy chance or two over the years, and obviously the whole Ninja Warrior thing, I absolutely loved this TV channel. And again, the end essentially came 2 years ago, and it was much more difficult to swallow then than it is now. But as it's finally laid to rest and the plug is officially pulled, I just want to take a minute and share my last few final thoughts. If you've watched this far into the video, you probably have your own thoughts or nostalgia about G4. And if you want to share them in the comments, share them on Twitter, share them on Facebook, whatever, please feel free. I will happily get all kinds of nostalgic with everyone. With the end finally here, really sad to see it go. We had some great times. Rest in peace, G4TV.